So, navigating a dispute in the strata tribunal is stressful enough on its own. But what if I told you that you could win your case and still end up losing a ton of money on legal fees? Well, today we're going to dive into a really crucial protection that's built right into the system to stop that exact thing from happening. I mean, just picture it for a second. It's a total nightmare scenario, right? You fought the fight, you were proven right. But the person who dragged you there in the first place, well, they just can't pay up. This is the exact problem that a powerful little rule called security for costs is designed to solve. So, what is this thing? Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a security deposit when you rent an apartment. Before the case really gets going, the person making the claim, the claimant, might be asked to put some money aside with the tribunal. That way, if they lose, that money is sitting right there, ready to cover your costs. It just makes sure there are actual funds available so your win isn't just, a hollow victory on paper. Okay, so when can you actually ask for this kind of protection? Well, the regulations lay out some pretty specific situations where the tribunal might think, there's a risk here. Let's break down the 4 big red flags that are all about the claimant themselves. The tribunal is basically on the lookout for practical problems. For example, if the person suing you lives overseas, trying to actually get your money from them later can be a massive headache. Or what if they're what's called a nominal claimant? This is basically a stand-in, someone with no money suing on behalf of someone else. That's a huge red flag. And the last 2 are all about being sneaky, really. If someone is hiding their address or, get this, moves house right in the middle of the case just to dodge paying, yeah, the tribunal definitely notices that. But, and this is absolutely crucial, none of these red flags are an automatic go. The rule always comes back to this one phrase. At the end of the day, the tribunal has the final say. They're going to look at everything, all the circumstances, and decide what's fair and what's just for that specific case. It's a really powerful check and balance. And here's a perfect example of that fairness principle in action. Let's say a claimant just made a simple typo when they wrote down their address, a totally innocent mistake. As long as they can show that's what it was, that they weren't trying to deceive anyone, they won't get penalized for it. It's the system's way of saying, hey, we're not here to punish simple human error. Okay, but what happens when it's not actually the claimant you're worried about? What if you suspect there's someone else, pulling the strings in the background? Well, don't worry, the regulations have a plan for that too. The rules are really smart. They target 2 specific hidden player situations. So on one side, you have a case where someone might hand over their legal claim to a person who has no money for the specific purpose of avoiding having to pay costs if they lose. On the other side, you've got a third-party funder, someone who's bankrolling the lawsuit in exchange for a piece of the pie if they win. In both of these scenarios, the person with the real interest in the case isn't the one whose name is on the paperwork. And this is where the rule really has some bite. The tribunal can actually look right past the official claimant and order the real person behind the scenes, the one who assigned the claim or the one who's funding it, to be the one to put up that security deposit. It makes sure that the person with the real financial stake is also the one who's financially accountable. All right, so you've spotted a risk and you think you have a case for this. How do you actually do it? How do you ask for security for costs? Well, thankfully, the process is laid out very clearly so that everyone knows what's happening and gets a chance to respond. It's a formal thing, as you'd expect. You have to use a specific document, which is Form 14, and you have to clearly explain your reasons. Now, this is super important. If you're going after one of those hidden players, you have to make sure the notice is served to them personally. And remember, this is a two-way street. It applies to the main claim and to any counterclaims, too. Then, if the tribunal agrees with you, it will issue its official decision on another document, Form 15. So let's just zoom out for a second. Why is this whole regulation so important? Why should you care about it, whether you're a parcel owner, a developer, or part of a management body? Here's the main takeaway, the thing to really remember. The point of security for costs is not to stop people with genuine problems from making a claim. It's all about balance. It makes sure that if you get dragged into a case that might be baseless or is brought by someone who has no intention or ability to pay, you won't be left holding a massive legal bill even after you win. It's about fundamental fairness. And that brings us right back to the heart of it all. Every single application, every red flag, every circumstance, it all gets weighed against this one simple but really powerful test. It's a reminder that at the center of all these rules and forms, there's a human element focused on a just outcome. And it leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? In any dispute, in any situation, how does a tribunal really decide what is truly just?